The reason why I'm coming on here to make this video, even though I briefly touched on it in my live stream, is because I didn't go into more detail about what I was talking about. And I think the reason for that is two things. One, because I was rushing through it to talk about it. And the reason why that was is because it didn't dawn on me until just recently, until now actually, that when I was on that live stream with, I think it was Lisa Cabrera, True Royal Family, and the one LVZ, when we had talked about him getting, first off, the $1 million, the bond paid for. And I had talked about it a lot in there. And then this happened literally, the next day, was it the next day or the day after that, or leading into me talking about this in the live stream, that I forgot to write it down in my notes. So I kind of glossed over it just a little bit, but enough to remember to talk about it. But I'm gonna come on here and I'm making a whole separate video just talking about it right now. And then a lot of people was asking me about it too. So I feel like I didn't go into too much detail. So this is kind of a makeup video for that. So as we all know, Derek Chauvin, probably one of the biggest terrorists of this year and probably to the world at large, he got a bond of it was $1 million, which was the bond that he had said, but he made the bond. And, 10%, that's $100,000. I was one of the few, or maybe even many people back in June or whenever the bond was set, that said loudly that he did not deserve a bond. Because remember, when they gave him his original bond, it was less than the 1 point whatever million dollars, because they rounded it off to something a little bit higher, but it still was made. It was less than it was less than $1 million. It was still in the six figures, his original bond, until people was like, no, that's too low. Then they raised it up to over $1 million. And I kept saying, nope, they should take the bond off the table, because with how these crowdfunding things go, he could raise that money because people out here would still support him, and he could make the bond. The only thing that shocked me about the entire thing is the fact that he didn't get the bond sooner, and that is just now occurring. Then you fast forward to last month, where his attorneys were trying to make a plea to get the charges dropped. And I even called it then. I said, when the other three terrorists try to have their charges to be dropped or reduced or whatever, don't be surprised if his attorneys try to do the same thing. They're just not going to jump out the window with him first, because he's the main culprit of the entire situation. But of course they did, and they tried and they failed. The judge even came back and said, look, y'all did a sloppy job. Charges will not be dropped. They will still stand. And not only that, but we are going to remove you from the case, or recuse you, or whatever it was that happened. Now fast forward to this month, a few days ago, when it got announced that not only did he make the bond, the $1 million bond, even at 10%, he still had the bond paid. But now he's actually able to leave the state of Minnesota to go to a neighboring state. Now, they didn't say, of course, they're not going to say what state, but they just said the words were neighboring state. So it could have been a state to the left of them, to the south of them, to the north of them, or to the east of them. And they're not going to tell you where in that state he's going to be. But like many have said, his face is known across the globe. There is not one person on this planet who has international news who does not know who Derek Chauvin is, or has not seen his face. Because what he did sparked worldwide outrage and worldwide protests, ones of which I don't think I've ever seen before in my life. At least not in recent times anyway. Like, he was getting, his death almost was like when Martin Luther King was assassinated. And of course I wasn't there for that, but based on the stories that I've heard, it was sort of like that. But see, we live in an age of social media and technology where word travels a whole lot faster. Videos, recordings, and all types of things of that nature. So there's really no place that he really can go to hide. So I don't know how much safety they think he's actually going to have. And I don't know why they think moving him out of the state of Minnesota is going to really help. To be honest, the safest place that Derek Chauvin was ever at was in that prison. Because notice, we never heard any stories about him being attacked. We never heard any stories about him, someone trying to kill him. There probably may have, I don't know if there have been attempts, but we haven't heard anything like that. So they kept him pretty much locked away. They probably didn't even tell people where at in the prison he was being held at, just in case someone would have gotten ideas. But y'all decided to take him out of the prison and then put him in some unknown location. Now, I was reading through some comments and someone had said something interesting and it didn't dawn on me. And then I said, when I think about it, I wouldn't be surprised if they attempted to do that. They would say, what if this guy, because people know that he's one of the most hated people on the planet, what if he went and committed suicide and then they claim someone killed him and then they find someone to pin it on? I said, I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that. But I do have a question to ask y'all down in the comments. Which would you prefer? That he was found dead somewhere, or would you prefer him to be alive long enough to stand the trial? Because I'm curious to see what the outcome is. I mean, if it turned out to be the former and they can prove it, hey, it is what it is. And not only that, let's not forget that he and his, I want to say now, is it a estranged wife or ex-wife? You know, they still have those fraud charges attached to them. Of course, that's a whole separate case. But you know, that story had came out about him and his wife, whose name was Kelly Chauvin, the Asian woman, has a laundry list of fraudulent charges, like wiring charges, tax evasion, basically theft of funds. Just a laundry list of that they went completely silent about recently. But yeah, this guy right here, like, people have suggested he can run, but he definitely cannot hide, because somebody is going to be out there looking for him. I'm almost certain of it.